Welcome to Daily Curiosity.
The program where we discuss an interesting topic and teach some useful English along the way.
Daily Curiosity.
For curious people.
Hello and welcome back to Daily Curiosity. I'm Carl.
And I'm Jane. Carl, today's topic already sounds like trouble.
Yeah, it really does. The end of men and the rise of women. That's not a headline. You could start a fight with that over a family dinner.
Exactly. It sounds dramatic, almost apocalyptic, like men disappearing and women have taken over overnight.
But is this really what's happening in modern society? This idea has been popularized by journalists and authors who argue that economic and social changes are shifting power away from men and toward women. One of the most well-known examples is Hannah Rosen's book, The End of Men.
Yes, Rosen presents a lot of data showing women outperforming men in education, adapting more successfully to new job markets, and becoming primary breadwinners in many households, especially in post-industrial economies. For example, she points out that in the United States, women now outnumber men in higher education, often by a ratio of 3 to 2. That's not a small difference. And they're no longer just dominating traditionally female fields. They're moving into science, healthcare, and management.
Which sounds like a success story until you zoom out and see the bigger picture. Historian Mary Beard urges us to be cautious. She reminds us that stories about women taking over are not new at all. In fact, myths about female rule go back thousands of years, and they were often invented by men.
You're right. In ancient literature, societies ruled by women are usually portrayed as chaotic or oppressive. These stories were not evidence of real matriarchies, but rather warnings designed to justify male dominance, as if to say, see what happens if women are in charge? It was like a propaganda, a way to justify why men should rule instead of women.
So, Beard's argument is that calling today's changes a new matriarchy may be misleading. The progress that women have accomplished so far does not automatically mean the loss of power for men.
And when we look more closely at the data, the picture becomes more complicated. Yes, women are entering the workforce in large numbers, but they are still concentrated in lower-paid sectors, such as education, healthcare, and social services.
There's also the persistent gender pay gap. On average, women still earn about 20% less than men for the same work they do. That's hardly what we'd expect in a true matriarchy.
Not at all. And money isn't the only issue. Domestic labor is a huge part of this story. Even when women earn more money, they often continue to carry the majority of household and childcare responsibilities.
Rosen describes what she calls seesaw marriages, where partners switch roles over time. But in practice, Beard points out that women often end up doing both jobs, earning income and managing the home.
So instead of power shifting cleanly from men to women, what we're seeing is women being asked to do everything all at once.
And meanwhile, men aren't necessarily winning either. Many have struggled to adapt to the decline of traditional manufacturing jobs and the rise of service-based economies.
Which brings us to an important conclusion. This isn't the end of men, and it's not the rise of women in the sense of control or domination.
It's more accurate to say that society is going through a long, uneven transition, one that challenges old gender roles but hasn't replaced them with fairer ones yet.
Real equality, it seems, is still a work in progress.
And perhaps the most important lesson is this. Dramatic headlines are great for marketing, but rarely do they capture the full complexity of social change.
So, Carl, it's time to look at some of the useful vocabulary we used in this episode. Let's start with the central word of our topic, matriarchy. Matriarchy is a social system or society in which women have most of the authority or power. This can include leadership roles, decision-making, and inheritance, which often follow the female line.
The next word that kept commonly appearing in our discussion today was the verb dominate. This word means to have control over someone or something. For example, in the ecosystem, certain species dominate others due to their size or speed.
A breadwinner is the person who earns most or all of the money to support their family. So if you work full-time and provide the main income for your household, it means you're a breadwinner of your family.
Are you a breadwinner, Jane?
Not really. I share the responsibility with my husband, so we're more like co-breadwinners.
Great. Next word is propaganda. This refers to information, ideas, or rumors deliberately spread to influence people's opinions or beliefs, often in a biased or misleading way. In history, governments have used propaganda to encourage patriotism or control public opinion.
And finally, the phrase a work in progress, something that is still being developed, improved, or completed, it's not finished yet.
That's all for today's episode of Daily Curiosity. Thanks for listening.
And don't believe every dramatic-sounding headline you see on a daily basis. See you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye. Welcome to Daily Curiosity.
The program where we discuss an interesting topic and teach some useful English along the way.
Daily Curiosity.
For curious people.